It's coming up tonight on Primetime Local News. We hear the Lloydminster response to Trudeau's resignation. And we learn more about what Gold Horse Casino has in store for the new year. Plus our weekly edition of Retrospect.
Primetime Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
On a big day in the country, the Rotary Club in Lloydminster was back to kick off 2025 with their first meeting, and this time with a new speaker. Rosemary Falk, MP for the Battlefords Lloydminster, took to the podium just hours after some big news came out: Justin Trudeau resigning as the Liberal leader.
Every single Liberal has voted for the policies that have doubled housing, to increase taxes and increase the deficit. So really, Justin's not popular anymore among Canadians, and they want him gone to save their own skin.
Not only did Falk discuss the Trudeau news, she also advocated for the Conservative Party and how they might be the next party in power, with Pierre Poilievre becoming the next Prime Minister.
Our visions for Canada are very different from one another, where I had spoken about that again in my remarks today. Conservatives, we just want what we want, what Canadians are telling us they want. They want to be able to work, provide for their families, and secure their future.
The new year brings tons of emotions to many people. And with the cold of winter here, it's important not to neglect your mental health. Michelle Hamilton, registered psychologist in Lloydminster, speaks to the cold weather in particular, highlighting some core issues that may impact your well-being.
This time of the year is really a low point in terms of mental health, especially people who are sensitive to the truth of, seasonal affective disorder being primarily the truth of the lack of sunlight, lack of activity, and sometimes a lot of excess in terms of, improper diet and lack of movement in the winter months.
Hamilton also provided some tips, ranging from being proactive with scheduling to taking vitamin supplements.
For many people, talking to a professional therapist, psychologist, counselor can be one really important way to allow yourself to, get that contact and connection with someone and allow yourself that opportunity to have a really structured space.
If you or someone you know needs someone to talk to, visit a local psychologist. The Gold Horse Casino in Lloydminster will be holding a Healing the Spirit round dance on January 11th. The event will start with a feast, with a round dance taking place afterwards. Gold Horse Casino General Manager Justina Sather says the event is open for anyone to attend.
The feast will begin at 3 p.m. It's open to all public, all ages included. You're welcome to come to the feast, and the round dance will follow at 7 p.m. Again, all ages welcome. It's a free event, and I encourage anybody in the community to come and join us.
Sather says that the feast and round dance is a great chance to teach people in Lloyd about more First Nations culture and traditions.
As an organization, we take the opportunity to bring the culture to our employees, to our community, teach our community about the culture, and just provide opportunities to learn, observe, and participate. And hosting a round dance is just one of those opportunities.
The Healing the Spirit Feast and Round Dance will take place at the WLS Convention Center in the Lloyd-X. It's time now for This Week in Retrospect. Here is our Nick Hott.
This week on Retrospect, we travel back to 1994 for a look into a biathlon.
The competition gets underway Saturday morning at 11 at the biathlon range 5 kilometers north of the Landros Cross Country Ski Club. Tom Barabo, one of the local organizers, says biathlon requires a high level of fitness, skiing ability, and concentration.
You have a lot of good skiers that come out and think they're really going to do a number on everybody, but their marksmanship's got to be perfect, basically perfect. You're shooting at a 1-inch target at 50 yards or 50 meters. after you've been try running a block and doing that and as fast as you can. It's an interesting little sport.
The biathlon series attracts some high-level performers, but early in the season there is no one skier taking the lead.
Skiing hasn't really gotten going until the last little while. We didn't have any real good snow anywhere in Saskatchewan or Alberta, so there's still a lot of jostling for position to go.
Weather conditions always play a big part in the event, usually not enough, but this year too much snow was a concern.
We thought there might be too much snow. We started packing the track in last weekend, and then it drifted in on Sunday night and Monday morning. We were out this week getting stuff straightened out, but it's starting to look really good. The best snow we've had in a long time.
It's a difficult sport to pick a winner, but you can bet this weekend's winner will be one that has got both his skiing and shooting down to perfection. Keith Snellgrove, NewsHour Sports.
Next, we jump forward to 1998 for a look into a cancer survivor traveling across Canada.
Wendy Smith is much to the halfway mark. The 35-year-old is on a 9,500-kilometer mission. Her trip started in Maine and will end in Alaska. The British Army captain was hit with cancer 8 years ago. Today, she calls herself a survivor, and she's traveling around spreading an important message.
Well, it seems that our prime aim was to bring a message of hope with us across Canada about cancer survival. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm very well recovered. The idea really was to put out there in the media an image of positive survival, and I think that's worked.
Smith and her team of 16 dogs made a pit stop at the Lloydminster Husky truck stop, but just long enough to feed the dogs and grab a quick snack.
It was an idea that developed, and then I decided we'd try and go for it. It took 2 years to plan and raise the money. We're still raising money. We're still a bit short of funds to finish. It's been going a long time. It's very hard work, but worth it. The weather's too warm for the dogs. It makes it hard on them. We could do with it 20 degrees colder. Everything's melting. You can see the snow's melting fast. So all these things make it more difficult for us and delay us. But we're still determined and we're still going.
So she's back on the road, forced to give the sleighs a rest until she runs into some colder weather. Smith hopes to reach her destination of Nome, Alaska around April 15th.
And that's all for this week of Retrospect.
Retrospect is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Find New Holland products at Webb's Machinery, your dealer in Vermilion, Vegreville, Lamont, Wainwright, St. Paul, and Consulate.
Lloydminster has really been experiencing some up and down temperatures as of recent.
Definitely. Coming into the new year, it's been a bit colder, but it's warming up now.
It's supposed to,
it seems to be that's kind of the pattern all winter. No, not today, but it's, zigzag. It's cools off, warms up, cools off, warms up, cools off, warms up. And I think it's going to continue to do that, just judging by kind of how it's been. Minus 16 right now in the border city, that 17-kilometer-an-hour wind, making it feel a bit cooler, minus 24. So a colder day out, but definitely not as cold as we have experienced in the previous week. And you can see the temperatures all around the Lloyd area are about the same. Cold Lake and Marwayne both minus 17. Provost minus 15, Vermilion and Wainwright minus 13, Bonnyville minus 16, Lac La Biche minus 14, St. Paul and Vegreville minus 12, and Edmonton minus 8. Over in Saskatchewan, maybe just a dash cooler, but again in that range. Green Lake and St. Walburg minus 20, Meadow Lake minus 21, Isle La Crosse as well. Pierceland minus 17, Maidstone minus 19, Macklin minus 15, and right now in North Battleford it is minus 17. That's going to go down to minus 22 tonight, North Battleford. It's going to be a clear night, maybe a little bit of clouds, and those temperatures are going to be rising. That 15-kilometer-an-hour wind is sure to maybe make it feel a little bit cooler than it really is, like it always seems to in this time of the year. Tomorrow in North Battleford, it is going to be a warmer day, though. Minus 6, not as cold, and a few clouds as well as that sunshine, but still that 17-kilometer-an-hour wind will persist, sure to make that feel maybe a bit colder than it actually says. Once again, Cold Lake minus 18, a little bit less windy tonight in Cold Lake, blowing south at 7 kilometers an hour, and just a few clouds in that Cold Lake night sky. Going to be a warmer day in Cold Lake, -4, not as cold again. The sunshine will be mixing with those clouds, and those wind speeds will stay at about the same there at 7 kilometers an hour. Now tonight in the border city, it's going to be -17, and it's going to be a clearer night, 15 kilometer an hour wind. So again, we still have that wind blowing. It never seems to stop here in Lloydminster, and this is certainly no exception. Once again, a cooler, windier night before we kind of hit those warm periods that we are forecasted to. You can see tomorrow will be a warmer day. 6 a.m. a little bit cooler, mostly clear, -14. But then at noon, it's actually going to be a sunny day. It's going to warm up to -7. And then 6 p.m., it's going to actually warm up again to -3, mostly clear. Those winds are maybe kind of diluting those warm temperatures. It's going to be a windy day tomorrow, so might feel more or less like today, but it is going to be a warmer day according to this here. Midnight cloudy and -2. Now taking a look at your 3-day forecast, tomorrow will be breezy in the morning with that high at -2 and that low -3. Wednesday we're going to be hitting positive territory, mostly cloudy and windy with that high of 4 and that low of -7. And Thursday will be breezy in the morning with a high of -3. That is your first look at our evening weather. We'll be back with more news after the break.
A group in Washington made the most of the snowy weather this morning with a giant snowball fight.
I did not come here to make friends, that's for sure.
And a dog and a couple of mascots also got in on the fun. The event was organized by the DC Snowball Fight Association, raising money for Special Olympics. It's now time to take a look at your adorable animals in our Pet Picks of the Day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.
Real Canadian Wrestling will once again be returning to Cheers Live in 2025 with another exciting show January 23rd. Our Thomas Wildman learns more about the event and the special significance of it.
Today I'm joined by Chris Brinklow of RCW, and he's here today to talk about the Take a Walk on a Wild Side show that RCW is going to be bringing to Lloydminster. And Chris, let's start by telling me a little bit about the special significance of this show.
As RCW has been coming to town, a lot of great sponsors have jumped on board in support of the show. And through World Class Gym, I met a trainer named Tom Irvin, who is a fantastic guy, and he has Iron Will, his personal training company. And Tom was quite a regular, and he was competing in some competitions. And I had noticed that he had been absent for some time, so I shot him a message and to see what's up. And this was back in September, October, and he let me know that his wife wasn't doing very well. Samantha was sick, and he was pretty vague on some of the details, not wanting to go into some things, and I left it at that. But as I got to talking to Tom, he did open up that Samantha had become very, very ill with one of her organs failing, and she had been in Edmonton for some time getting treatment and waiting to be put on a list for a transfer. And one thing about RCW is we like to take care of our sponsors and even our fans, and we treat everyone like a family, because in the wrestling community, even though people wrestle for different groups, we are all family in the sense. And so Renee Weinkauf, took it upon himself to start up a GoFundMe for Tom and Samantha And we here at RCW felt that it was important to jump on this as well. So we are raising money, and this is certainly nothing that Tom and Samantha asked for. They are very quiet, reserved people. They keep to themselves. They would certainly never ask for help or assistance in any way. This is something that Renee took upon himself because he and Tom are quite good friends. And we just felt that this was something that we, as RCW, family, can do to help. So this upcoming show on January 23rd at Cheers Live, from every ticket that is sold, $5 of that ticket will go to support Tom and Samantha.
And next, what can fans expect at the Take a Walk on the Wild Side show?
So we've had a bit of interference ran at the shows where the Moondog Manson, he and his crew have been showing up at matches, interfering, and it's really been quite the mess. And one of our veteran wrestlers, Steve Wild, who is a wily veteran and certainly does not back down from anyone, he has issued a barbed wire bat challenge to Moondog Manson and his crew. You know it's going to be, it's not for the faint of heart. It's going to be a gruesome match. Anytime there's barbed wires and bats involved, it's going to be a fantastic show. And we also have a wrestler, I believe his last name is Jarris. Jarris. He's Bobby Jarris, I believe. He's traveling from Ontario to come and wrestle Lion Warrior Bobby Sharp. So that's another match that we have coming up. It's always a great match. It's a fun family night where the family can come out and enjoy themselves. There's food and drink and just a great time. And we want to thank all our sponsors and all our fans that have been coming out. And I will say this, one challenge that I did put out to Lloydminster a few shows ago is that if we get over 200 people, I will volunteer to be put through a table. So however that looks, if we get 200 people out, the next show, I will go through a table for Lloydminster, for my love of wrestling, and something to do. I'm 51 years old. Why not be put through a table in a wrestling scenario, right? So we want to encourage everybody to come out. Even if you're not a fan of wrestling, if you know Tom and Samantha, just come out and show them some love. And you can get your tickets at Battery World. You can get your tickets at Cheers Restaurant or by contacting me. I'm on Facebook. You can also call me or text me at 639-536-3433. I'm easy to get a hold of, and I have a handful of tickets as well. So we would love to pack Cheers Live for this great event, not only for the great matches, but in love and support for Tom and Samantha.
Thank you so much for all the information today, Chris, and hopefully you guys have a great show and have 200 attendees so that you can be smashed through a table.
You better be there with a camera when it does happen, buddy.
We are in the second half of the winter season, and we've been experiencing temperatures rising and falling. Abby St. John spoke with Global News meteorologist Peter Quinlan to find out what we can expect this month.
I'm very happy to be joined here today by Global Saskatoon meteorologist Peter Quinlan. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Abby.
Of course, now it's a brand new year. We're officially in 2025, and usually January and February are pretty cold. They can get pretty cold. It's usually when we see the coldest temperatures, and last year we also experienced the polar vortex. So what are some things that we can be expecting weather-wise here in January or even February?
So it looks like this year we will have kind of shots of cold air, shots of warm air, and kind of yo-yoing back and forth. That's kind of the overall trend we're expecting in January. We started off with that blast of Arctic air and some extreme cold warnings. And then this week we're warming up and could even see positive temperatures come Wednesday, and then kind of a gradual cool down. So I think this yo-yo trend is going to continue throughout much of the month, but probably maybe the third week or the fourth week we'll plunge into some Arctic air for maybe up to a week or so. So we will still see some traditional just steady cold. Normally daytime highs in Lloydminster this time of year around -11, overnight lows -21. So we've kind of been wobbling either side of that over the last little while, and this is coming off of a pretty mild December.
Yes, for sure. And kind of going off of that yo-yoing, I know a lot of people have talked to me about it, but the temperatures are changing drastically. One day, like you said, we're in an extreme cold warning, and then this week we're going to be experiencing single digits or even plus digits. So how come that happens? And is that just kind of how this winter is going to go for us?
It does look like that's how this winter will be, and we've already been seeing that. It's kind of because we are looking at this La Nina pattern that we're in that's been a weak La Nina, not being as strong as a typical La Nina pattern. So we get these pushes of mild Pacific air that come in, and then they get pushed aside by the Arctic air that pushes that out. And basically, we don't really see a stable ridge or trough set up in the jet stream. So one of the things is the polar vortex isn't as dominant this year so far, and so that's when that moves in, we just get steady cold for weeks on end. So that has not been in place. One of the reasons why we haven't had that kind of steady winter cold for a prolonged period, although we have had some recently.
Yes, and that's kind of good news, kind of bad news. You know, we still don't like the cold, but having it kind of have some warm days here and there is nice to get us through the winter. Now, do we know yet if this is going to be a longer winter or even a harsher one? I know that there's been a lot of snow fall in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Will we be experiencing blizzarding weather, and will it be longer?
We always have the potential for snow and blizzard conditions in the winter. It's a little bit too soon to say. We may move out of winter kind of as maybe slightly later than seasonal, but we'll have to kind of wait and see till February into March. Those are kind of the months we'll be watching for that. It doesn't look like this is the strongest of La Ninas, and it's already beginning to break down, so it will probably not be the winter that lasts forever. And I think that's probably good news for many people.
Yes, it's great news for me for sure.
I
For
bet.
someone who doesn't like being cold, so that's great to hear. That we kind of the yo-yoing can be kind of annoying just because of going from cold to warmer. But I liked having those little warm days in between the frigid temperatures. So it's always great talking to you, getting the information that we need. So thank you for joining me, and we'll talk soon about what we can expect at the end of winter.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Abby.
Coming up after the break, our Lane Hoffert will have another look at our evening weather forecast.
Welcome back. Now let's take one final look at your evening weather. Minus 16 right now in Lloydminster. That wind blowing at 11 kilometers an hour, making it feel quite a bit cooler, taking us to minus 23. So definitely a cooler day in Lloydminster, but those cool temperatures won't last for long. What will last is that wind, however. You can see around the region as we move out westward in Alberta, it gets a bit warmer. Jasper minus 1, Edson and Whitecourt minus 4. Rocky Mountain House minus 3, in Edmonton minus 8, Athabasca minus 13, Red Deer minus 10, and Cold Lake minus 17. Over in Saskatchewan is where that cold weather seems to be coming from. Melfort minus 22, Prince Albert minus 20, Meadow Lake minus 19, North Battleford minus 17, and Saskatoon minus 18. Moving up north in Uranium City, it's minus 23, Stony Rapids minus 27, Wollaston Lake and Flin Flon minus 22, South End Reindeer minus 26, and La Loche and Buffalo Narrows both minus 20. High Level minus 20 as well, and Fort Chippewa, Peace River, and Grand Prairie all minus 17, Fort McMurray minus 15, and Slave Lake minus 11. Now moving down to southern Alberta, Calgary at 0, Banff at minus 4, Lethbridge minus 6, Coronation minus 13, and Medicine Hat minus 11. Kindersley and Regina both at minus 17. Yorkton, Moose Jaw, and Estevan all at minus 16. And Swift Current at minus 18. So definitely warmer in Alberta than it is in Saskatchewan. The more west you go, the warmer it seems to be. In North Battleford tonight, it's going to get down to minus 22. Clear to partly cloudy. Those temperatures will rise, and that wind is going to be blowing strong at 15 kilometers an hour. It won't be blowing quite as strong in Cold Lake, where it will be minus 18 tonight and partly cloudy. Now taking a look at your travel forecast. In Meadow Lake and Paradise Hill, it will be minus 20, Bonnyville minus 17, Provost minus 15, and Isle La Crosse minus 21. Rising temperatures to partly cloudy in all of those areas. Now taking a look at more temperatures, minus 15 in Murnum, Pierceland and Unity minus 18, Wainwright minus 16, and Calgary minus 17. mainly clear to partly cloudy in all of those regions. And now you can see it's going to be a warm week ahead. Tomorrow will be breezy in the morning with a high of -2. Wednesday, mostly cloudy and windy with that high at -4. And Thursday, breezy in the morning and sunny with a high of -3. Now, Friday, it's going to be a little bit less of a nice day, a bit of ice in the afternoon, but that high will still be -1. So definitely we have quite a warm week, especially for January, to look forward to.
Yeah, I was quite surprised, especially with this morning, it being so cold. I wasn't expecting this week to be warm, so it's a nice surprise, especially for a Monday.
That's right, kind of a weird introduction into the week. You start cold and then the rest of the week seems like it will be nice, barring any crazy wind, of course.
We shall see.
Yeah.
That is all the time we have today for Primetime Local News. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.